Prey is more than just the Predator franchise's fifth movie. It's a whole world in itself. With a different vision and a new Predator, this movie's a treat for all the series fans. The mastermind behind the idea to differ from the previous movies, Dan Trachtenberg, has finally given some insight into his vision. So let's take a look at what he envisioned for the movie, and what reactions he's getting from fans. First and foremost, let's see what's different in Prey. According to Trachtenberg, the Predator franchise desperately needed an overhaul. To achieve this, his vision for that was to create a whole new look for the iconic alien we'd come to watch in the previous movies. He's pointed out in multiple interviews that for him, this new vision of the monster just feels more savage and natural than the previous ones we've seen. Of course, for him, the hunting mythology that's followed the Predator movies, games, comics, and novels since 1987 are all equally great. But even then, he felt like the main interplanetary hunter needed to look a little more ferocious. He even said that while watching the previous films, he felt as if the monster was a professional wrestler instead of an alien, and that he never felt dread and fear when watching him. He chalks it up to technical limitations, which led the previous movies to rely too much on the humanoid side of the creature. But now that we're equipped with all the marvels of modern CGI and graphics, changing the Predator's look wasn't too big a deal for him. And that's what brought us this beastly alien, who, by the way, isn't too reliant on its gadgets. Instead, it likes fighting and impaling its prey. It does fit with the historic aspect of the movie, and makes the Predator more creepy. More gore, more fun, we guess. Next up, there are some big differences in the alien. For one, the dreadlocks are missing, along with some of the other iconic details that we were used to seeing in the previous movies in the franchise. In fact, we think Predator's monsters' looks were some of the most recognizable ones in pop culture. So was it a good idea to move away from those looks altogether? Like, we get that the director had a different vision, but was it necessary? Yes, it was. For one, we agree that the previous movies showed a very different version of the alien. This one, though, considering it was set 300 years before the events of the other movies, the alien had to look different. So all the iconic looks that are missing, not for the wrong reasons at all. It's a period film in a way. Considering that, the monster obviously had to look more grounded than its successors. Given all that, let's look at what changes they've made. For one, the Predator's a lot more feral and animalistic this time. According to Dan, he didn't want to change its suit entirely, but he also didn't want to be limited because of it. Again, there's also the fact that this movie's set 300 years ago, so of course the timeline changes also had to take place. For Trachtenberg, it was a challenge, but one that he definitely enjoyed. He says that he obviously had to take the Predator 300 years back, but also at the same time had to make him feel more advanced than what the characters had faced before. Of course, he did eliminate that mesh netting entirely to make him, or it, more visceral looking, but along with that, he made sure to make it look true to its roots as well, including its reliance on the invisible cloak. Now look, Predator without the invisibility is just not done. Guess that's why the monster isn't too reliant on its other gadgets other than the invisibility cloak itself. It's almost as if it decided to travel light to Earth this time. Not that Trachtenberg's taken all the alien's gadgets away from it. It's just that this time, we don't see a monster with superhuman powers and an arsenal to attack humans. So while the alien has stayed true to its origins, it does follow the natural animalistic feeling the director tried to achieve. Question is, though, how strong and feral would the Predator be if it stopped using the invisibility cloak? You all remember its fight with the wolf and the bear, right? Aside from the fact that this Predator also hunts animals, which we'll talk about a little later, there's the fact that it's kind of got to fight something slightly equal to its own power, especially with the bear. Obviously, what worked for the Predator was its invisibility. We wonder how it would have fared against the bear if it didn't have that. There's also the time factor itself. Now look, as we said earlier, this movie's set long before the events of the very first Predator movie. This gave Dan and his team enough reasons to tone down the hunter's abilities and gadgets. It's also possible that its visit to the Earth was its first rite of passage, making it a whole new experience for it to live and hunt through. Considering all that, we believe that all the actions that took place in this movie gave the Predator's succeeding race a guidebook on what not to do when visiting the Earth. It also gives us a good foundation to understand why this version of the alien is different from the previous ones. You know, more organic and less robot hunter-like. That's why we find it easy to justify why this one got all the abilities of the previous hunters, but is still different from them almost drastically. We love an era-appropriate monster, don't you? Next up, let's talk about its hunting abilities. Cloak and overall physique aside, even the hunting abilities of this monster are a lot more grounded and natural. For example, you'd remember how in the previous movies, the hunter would use confined spaces to lure its prey into its lair and then use hiding and camouflaging techniques to attack. And while that's what we saw in Prey as well, a great addition was showing how the alien was able to stay as lethal in an open area as well. But you know what? While the alien was super fiery in the scene, the movie also kind of proves why other predators have preferred higher ground when hunting. This is proven by two instances in the movie. One, when the alien's fighting the bear in the water, and two, when it gets stuck in the quicksand type area. The first one showed us that water isn't a friend to the alien's invisibility cloak, considering how it was unmasked when it started fighting the bear. And second, the quicksand thingy really helped Nehru give the upper hand in her fight with the beast. Of course, being a natural hunter, the beast wouldn't prefer fighting on weaker grounds, and so prefers confined spaces more than plains and open areas. Oh, and the bear thing we talked about, maybe future versions of the alien don't fight animals, because they know they have a chance to lose there. An idea worth considering, no? Moving on, the Predator follows its warrior code, which is what we love, because while there have been some pretty cool changes in the movie, the consistency in the concept is what's made it great. Here, we're talking about the Predator's choice to only hunt prey who can be a worthy opponent to the hunter. This makes it all the scarier, because slasher films have relied on jump scares and overall horror elements to show how ruthless their monsters can be. This movie focuses on the hunter singling out its prey before attacking, and then when it does attack, the fight is super amazing to watch. We especially loved how Nehru matched its tenacity and manages to outwit it in the fight, and that's what has always been great about the Predator movies. Finally, let's see what fans are saying about the movie. The very first screening of the movie was hosted by Collider at the San Diego Comic-Con, and let us tell you, it was a huge success. So much so that it received a standing ovation from the fans. Guess Trachtenberg's formula worked. Ross Boname and Perry Nemiroff from Collider have even gone on to say that watching Prey was the most fun they've had at a Predator movie to date, and that's saying something, considering how iconic the initial movies were. Others have called the movie whip smart, a worthy sequel, and a movie that manages to stand wholly on its own as well. Fans have also been praising Amber Midthunder's work, who's definitely gained quite a few fans with her acting in the movie. As of now, Prey's got a whopping 93% rating on Rotten Tomatoes, and 7.9 out of 10 on IMDb. And in a world where sequels and follow-up seasons have been ruining franchises left, right, and center, we're glad there's at least one movie that stood its ground and done justice to its prequels. So I guess it does help to move away from the tried and tested formula once in a while. Good on you, Dan Trachtenberg. Very good indeed. And that's a wrap for this video. What are your reviews about the new Predator in Prey? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. See you in the next one.